Hi, welcome to today's Ask Austin. I'm speaking to Andy Lang, the Potter of Leith. This episode of Ask Austin is presented in conjunction with Artisanry Co, a marketplace and community for artisans, crafters and artists, taking care of the business side of the creative process. To find out more, go to www.artisanryco.co.uk. Hi Andy, how are you today?
I'm good, how are you?
Yeah, good, getting there, keeping busy, so that's the main thing. So Andy, you also go by the name of the Potter of Leith, so do you want to tell us a bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. So I got made redundant from working in social care in May 2018, and I'm getting to a certain age. I'm 60 now. And after 9 unsuccessful job interviews, I decided to go back to what I used to do. So I did a degree in ceramics way back in the 1980s in Dundee. And in the interim, I hadn't really been making ceramics, but I'd been teaching it for nearly 35 years at night classes. So I decided that I wanted to do that and kind of merge it in with the work that I'd been doing before, which was working with mental health and addictions and homelessness and stuff. So I set about setting up the pottery, and I went on the government's new enterprise allowance scheme, which pays you 60 quid a week for whatever, 12 weeks or something, which set me up as a sole trader really. So I became the Potter of Leith as a sole trader. Sorry. But in the meantime, I set a company up as a social enterprise, which is called Leith Community Pottery. So that's what you call a KIC 36. It's a community interest company.
Okay.
And the idea ultimately is that the KIC will employ me rather than me being a sole trader. So all the profits from the sales of pottery and from the classes and workshops which we'll be offering all go back into the business to allow us to then offer free access to people who either are living with mental health issues, or they might be socially isolated, or have Alzheimer's, or be recovering from some kind of illness or surgery or whatever. So I take referrals from third sector and NHS to allow those people to get onto places in the classes that I run. So I charge the general public to come and learn to do pottery or to take part in workshops, but everything that I do has got spaces reserved that are either donation-based or free for people who get referred to me through services. And then I also got funded from Firstport Scotland, so they gave me their start-up funding, which was helpful. And I got some funding from Edinburgh Council to run Sunday afternoon workshops for 10 people at a time. So 6 of those over a period of 6 months, one Sunday a month. And that was all free places, 10 places in each class. And that was for people that were living with mental health issues to come and get a wee taster. Mm-hmm. So all that's on hold, of course.
Yeah. Like many things in life. Yeah.
Indeed.
Excellent. So have you always kind of had an interest in all things pottery, or was it just a complete life change?
I wanted to go to art school ever since I was a teenager, and my big cousin went to Dundee Art School and he did silversmithing. Mm-hmm. So I managed to get myself into Dundee, and I went with the intention of being a silversmith because my cousin was a silversmith. And when I got there, I discovered that in the first year you basically get to dip your toe into all the different subjects that they teach. And I realised I didn't really like silversmithing. I thought it was quite kind of linked in with fashion and things that didn't really float my boat. Whereas when I went to the ceramics department, it was full of people wearing boiler suits and dungarees, and they were all covered in mud. And that worked for me. Yeah. So I didn't even know you could do ceramics when I went to art school, and I found that out when I got there. So I ended up doing ceramics and sculpture for my degree.
Cool.
And then I set up a workshop in rural Fife with my partner at the time, and for about 11 years we attempted to make a living out of running a pottery workshop. It didn't really come to much. The balancing act there was that we couldn't afford urban premises, so we took rural premises, but the price of the rural premises was that there was no passing trade. And of course, 1984, 1985, when we did this, the internet was just a baby. So there was no real way of getting general awareness of its existence out there, other than leafleting and all that. So it just didn't work in the end. It didn't make a living.
So that kind of got you started. So in terms of what you do at the moment and the products you make, can you tell us a bit about the products? Is it a certain style of product, or is it a wide range that you create?
So I do two kind of streams of work. One of them is I do domestic ware, tableware, so I make things, coffee mugs, bowls, plates, that kind of thing. I make some ramen bowls that seem to be very popular, which are designed in such a way that they hold the chopsticks, so you get chopsticks with your ramen bowl. It seems to be a popular thing. I make things like salt pigs, butter bells, functional stuff. But the other side of it is that I make kind of exhibition pieces, which are much more expensive, and they're kind of based on some sort of imaginary past, you might say. They kind of look a bit like ancient archaeological finds, so influenced by like Sumerian and Etruscan and ancient Greek stuff. So those are, I'm going to get some photography done. As you know, got myself some kit to get some decent photos, and I'll be putting the more kind of artistic, expensive pieces out there as soon as I get those photos done.
Good, excellent. In terms of getting your ideas for your more elaborate pieces, how do you get the ideas for that?
You mean for the
creative guy? Yeah, for your sort of your commercial.
I don't know. I suppose ever since I was a kid, I was just voraciously interested in history, and particularly ancient and medieval history. And I remember when I was doing my degree, John Boorman was making the film Excalibur, and I wrote to him, and he actually wrote back to me, and what I was asking him about was the design of the armour and everything, and the authenticity of the props and the costumes in the film. So I started making clay armour. So I was making breastplates and sort of wall-mounted helmets and stuff. And then I was highly jealous when Peter Jackson actually hired a whole bunch of New Zealand potters to make the tableware for the Lord of the Rings films. I was like, I want that job. But I watched all these kind of things, and there's a kind of fantasy crossover with historical fact, and somewhere in there are just images that you can create with shapes and forms that kind of evoke some kind of ancient past. And then more recently I was working with a particular glaze that looks like decaying metal, and combining that with actually using a sandblaster. So I was making things and then sandblasting them so that they actually looked like worn, looked like kind of decaying metal or whatever. So I just got a wee bit of a thing about all things ancient.
Brilliant. That's great. You obviously spoke about the training courses. So if somebody is interested in learning to be a potter, how do they go about getting on the training courses that you run?
Well, it was all planned out. There was going to be 4 blocks of 10 weeks each year on several days of the week. We should be in the middle of the April, not in the middle, but we should be into the April block. It's all been suspended. I'd hoped that it might come out that we could do it in July, but that's not even looking that likely. But basically, I do blocks of 10 weeks. I have 6 potter's wheels here, so I can take 6 people on. One of those spaces is reserved for the referrals I was talking about, so we have 5 paying people and one person that was here either for free or on a voluntary donation basis. And I teach people from scratch for 10 weeks, but if somebody comes along who's got a bit of experience, I just teach them to whatever level they're at. You know, it's very, very kind of personalised one-to-one tuition. Just look at what somebody's level is and teach them to improve, basically, consolidate and improve. And then the workshops, which I spoke about, which you do on a Sunday afternoon, they are just a simple project. I'll work out a little project which can be completed in less than 3 hours. And at the end of that, everyone will have made a vessel of some kind. Don't use the potter's wheels at these, because potter's wheel is a skill you need practice. It's a bit like you can't just walk in and in the space of a couple of hours you're going to be able to throw pots. It's a matter of applying yourself, learning physical skill. Whereas what we call hand building that we do, it's much easier to. Although it's a great skill, it's much easier to quite quickly achieve a fairly significant piece of work. So that's what we do there. And then I'll fire and glaze those things and then contact the people that made them, and they can come back, pick them up, get them home.
Great. Sounds fab. They've obviously been very popular up until you've had to postpone them.
I was booked out for like April and May for the Sundays.
Brilliant.
And I had people signing up quite healthily for the wheel throwing 10-week blocks, but yes, here we are.
Just need to wait to get out the other side and get started again. So, in terms of if people want to follow your work and see what you're doing, how can they find you?
So, I use Instagram, which I'll put stuff up on that, at least once a week. Probably not as often as I should, but I'm working on that. Facebook. So I always get mixed up with these handles. On Facebook, I think it is at Potter of Leith, and the Instagram is the Potter of Leith. I don't know why they're not the same thing, since they're both the same company, but anyway.
Yeah.
And then I've got a website which is www.thepottofleith.org.uk, and that's pretty basic just now. I'm trying to learn to make that more interesting. All comes back to the photography for me, so when I get more photographs, I will make my stuff out interesting.
Your Instagram feed will be blasted with photos.
But I've been getting quite a lot of interest just off recent photographs that I posted, particularly of these ramen bowls I was talking about.
Yeah. Excellent. Listen, thanks. Sorry, Andy, on you go.
I'm just saying the potential's there. It's down to me to get my head around social media, which is not something that I've used before I set this up a couple of years ago. Well, a couple of years ago, I set it up in August. So I'm on a steep learning curve with them. Yeah,
every day's a school day. Listen, Andy, thanks very much for your time. I'm sure people found that very useful. I'll put links to all your social media and website in the post below, and if people want to give you a shout, they can do. Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you. Cheers, Austin.
Cheers.
Take care. Bye.
Thanks to Andy for talking to us today about his pottery business. If you're not already a subscriber, subscribe above and switch on the notifications. Until the next time.